Something that's actually pretty funny to me. So I just did my review on the Black Clover chapter, and I talked about how, because the bad guy in that chapter, he was kind of one of those, he likes to kill, be menacing, and just enjoys combat and violence kind of guys. And one of the things I mentioned is, in a lot of series, like especially Shonen, those characters are set up to get knocked down. They're not used as much. I mean, you get some that are, end up being some of the better ones in the series, kind of like Grim Jiao and Kenpachi. Just really fun when they're actually utilized properly. But when it comes to Chainsaw Man, like I didn't even intend for this to be the one following up, for it to kind of be the opposite end. That it has the status in the series that the more crazy and the more fucked up a character is, the more that you want to see him. So this chapter was primarily a display on some of the bad guys we're going to be getting. We saw those three brothers at the end, those three American brothers. And then we're going to be getting a display of these guys. And first one, this guy Tolka, I think they're Russian. I can't really tell. That one I'm not 100% sure of. If you can tell me what country they're in, I can guess the other ones. Well, they state the other ones, rather, so it's not like I have to really do a lot of guesswork. But the first one, it's this guy, and he's with his teacher, this dude named Tolka. And, his teacher's, like, talking about, whether or not he feels like he took a life, like he killed a fox. She asks about it. He's like, I don't really feel it. Skins it. Still doesn't really feel like he took a life. Cooks it, and after that, he's just like, no, I don't really feel like I took a life. So it looks like this guy's, he's gonna kind of be this cold, emotionless killer who's more about, like, doesn't see it as much of a thing. Because when it comes to, like, a lot of characters, especially when they go deeper into, like, the early aspects of it, taking another person's life can really do a lot of effect on their mind. This guy seems to be one of those ones that's just like, it doesn't affect him at all. It doesn't feel anything to him. But it's this girl's like, now you have to kill this guy, and it's a picture of Denji. Like, do you think that you'd be able to kill a 16-year-old boy? And it's like, yeah, I can do this. He seems to want to use this whole thing to get his master, this woman, kind of free. And he's like, you only have 6 months left to live, and I want you to live peacefully for the rest of your life. Maybe I was gonna say, like, maybe he'll find a way to turn into a hybrid. No, they're both gonna die, let's be perfectly honest. And then we get over to China, and this guy, or actually I think it's supposed to be a girl. How's it pronounced? Quan Ji, I think. I think in Chinese the X like that turns into that, or Quan Shi. But it's this woman. She's got all of these, like, female fiends, very strange looking. One of them has, like, a monster for hair. One of them's chained up. One looks like some Frankenstein, like, absolute, like, emotionless thing. And then the other one has, like, an eyeball popping out of her head, and, brains exposed. Very weird. I think this character is no, it's kind of hard, because I'm looking at the character. I'm looking for, like, obvious signs, like obviously you can have boobs or, like, curves. It doesn't look like it, but when Makima is mentioning this character Quan Shi later, that he says her. I would assume that this is a girl based off what Makima says. Maybe. Oh no, I'm looking at it on the panel where she's saying that she wants to give all of her fiends human rights. I can definitely see some boobs there. It was the one right before that. I couldn't see anything. But yeah, so strange eye patch lesbian with all these weird fiends, and now she's gonna be sent after Denji as well. And her characters look like her little crew looks very strange. One thing to note, I will definitely say. So she's got, four fiends, and one of them has horns, just like Power, the one that has, like, handcuffs on. It's got shackles. It's got the same horns as Power, and it says when they're like, what do you guys all want? That one wants blood. So I'm guessing that there's going to be maybe more than one blood devil. Maybe maybe Power's got a sister. We don't know if it's like every devil has exactly, one, or maybe they have families, and they gonna have a couple of them, and it's not just, oh, one blood devil. It's like, oh, well, there's a family of them. There's a family of each type, which would be cool, because then, you can, whenever it's like, oh, I want to use this one again, without having to explain how this character came back from hell. It's like, oh no, they're, it's a cousin or a sister or a brother or a father or something of this other one that we saw. And then at the same time, you can kind of like weave that into whatever their story is. But this character, she's, getting sent off to go after Denji as well. They're going to be going after the heart, the chainsaw. We know all these different assassins are going to be, showing up for him. And Makima is talking to Kishibe, and they're like, oh, again, I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Yanshi? But she's like, yeah, she's going to be dangerous. She's probably going to bring her fiends after, or fiends with her after Denji. And they're just kind of going over the series. So it seems like out of the ones mentioned, because we have the three immortal brothers that were shown at the end of last chapter. We have this dude Tolka, and then Kyanshi, and Mikima seems very hesitant about her, like going over. She's like, seemingly one of the bigger threats, but not the biggest threat. The biggest threat is Germany's Santa Claus, and this guy seems very strange. I think here in Kishibe, we're talking about like, well, maybe he's dead. We don't know if he died of old age. That might have just been a rumor. If we're lucky, he is in fact dead. So this guy just looks, he's just some weird kind of crusty old man. And, he's sitting on a bench, meets up with this guy, I assume is with, the German government. And he's like, it's like, oh yeah, you got to kill this, the chainsaw devil in Japan. Can you do it? Yes, the reward. He wants 4 good-looking children. 3 for contracts, 1 for pleasure. So, very unfortunate guy. So here's the thing, though, about Chainsaw Man. I will say, as very serious. Very serious. So, we know that the more fucked up and crazy a character is, generally the more powerful and the more they're going to be capable of. And it looks like this guy, as he says, like 3 of the children are for contracts. He's probably got a lot of devils tied up to him. And instead of, using his own self to, trade for a devil's power, he ends up using these children. But also, as he once says, for pleasure, it's either going to be like some weird torture thing, or maybe he's a pedophile. And that gives me excitement on 2. Actually, that sounds horrible. But it's going to be cool to see what he's capable of, because we know he's going to be a really bad guy, and that means more powerful. But also, as this guy being a horrible person for contracting children and seemingly use one for, I would assume, pedophilia. It's going to be nice to see him get killed. I think everyone's happy of seeing pedophiles get killed, and especially when Denji's going to run a chainsaw through his face at some point. This guy seems very powerful though. But out of that, it looks like Denji's just kind of bored. He really wants to get things going. He's talking to Aki. I like how Aki just kind of sits down on him. They're just like, "Hey man, listen, we got shit going on. You need to get stuff together." And he's just like, "Oh man, I really wanted to go on vacation, and then I wanted to go to Enoshima." And he's like, and Aki's like, "Listen, she didn't say it was canceled. Makima said it was postponed." Oh, he's like, "Oh, okay. So if we kill all these assassins, then we get to go." Obviously, the way that Aki and Denji are, to them, this is just like, oh yeah, split 2. Let's go take care of all these killers and get them out of the way. I like that aspect of Denji. They're like, oh, I mean, it's not that the difficulty of the people are fighting. It's the easiness of the concept. Kill the hell out of them. The first one, I'm thinking the one that will probably be the weakest is that Tolka dude. He seems kind of the least interesting. The only thing kind of interesting is like his whole setup with like this weird, out in the cabin kind of hunting style of the way he was probably trained. The one that I'm rooting for the most, the one that I hoping doesn't die first, are the 3 brothers. They seem interesting. I like that they're a brotherly unit. I think that's kind of cool. The mystery of them essentially being immortal as well. The one that I want to see their power the most, but also fight the most, is Santa Claus, because he's probably got a lot of cool powers. But like I said, the way that he's set up, I really want to see him get killed. I mean, it's very strange in the idea. It's not like, ah, man, I hate this character, I want him to die. I obviously do dislike, like, obviously he's trading children and seemingly doing some very questionable things with them. So that alone, it's like, yeah, we want him to get killed. But especially because when he dies, he's going to get killed by Denji. He's probably going to be last, though, because he seems like the biggest deal of them. But it'll be a bit. We got to give it a good chunk of time. We're just getting started. I assume these are going to be all the assassins. These 4 groups. The brothers, Tolka, what's her name, Kyanshi, and her Fiend crew, and then Santa Claus. Santa Claus probably last. I mean, the fact that the three brothers were introduced first, it's either means that they're gonna get, they're gonna get put in the fight first and get killed first, or they're gonna be the most important. And Santa Claus is probably gonna be the last one. He seems to be the strongest, given what Mikima said, and he seems to be a much more experienced, much more long in the game kind of character, and probably is gonna have a lot of powerful devils contracted to him. But I mean, it's with the Chinese girl. I don't really know. I don't really have any quarrel with her. I'm kind of just like, I think her crew design is interesting. They seem very fun. They're going to be probably some energetic and very charismatic characters. I do have some interest in the one that might be a blood devil, kind of like Power, because then it's just like, well, it either will be maybe she'll be related to Power, or maybe that'll be her fight with Power. You have these two blood devils, well, I guess they're blood fiends, battling it out, which would be really cool. I can see them maybe being related, like sisters or something, and then we maybe can get some explanation on the family line of devils. Like I said, it'd be kind of cool if there's a couple maybe of each one, depending on how many offspring they have. It's entirely unknown. We don't have a full grasp on how they work yet. But as it is, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this chapter. Which one of those four groups are you most interested to see fighting, and which one do you want to see dead the most? I mean, I feel like anybody's just gonna be like, oh yeah, that Santa Claus guy, he seems kind of fucked up. It's like a really quick and easy way to hate somebody by messing with children, and especially when it's not just normal damage to them. It seems again a much more unhappy, questionable method he's using them for. But anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, put friend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.